Hi. Today we are going to be talking about breaking down the unwiring process and why it's essential for your acting career. And so let me just start by saying that I think we have a lot of actors who start, sifting through our content in our community and who are like, what the hell is unwiring and rewiring? And so I'm going to try and explain it in the simplest of ways so that you actually understand why it's essential. So I'm going to take an analogy and say that if totally a different world, if you had been raised in a world where you were told that your legs were not a good thing to use because they're not supposed to be used, because it's bad to use them, because it's wrong to use them, because nobody uses them, and everyone is moving around, pulling themselves, dragging themselves on the floor with their arms, whether that makes sense or not. Let's just play with that idea that you're born in a world and in a culture where people say, no, the legs are there, but we don't use them. It's wrong and bad. Nobody does. And we just move around like that, dragging our bodies on the floor. So you would have I'm seeing everyone disconnecting from the live because it seems uninteresting. But I'm just going to catch your attention by saying, just so you know, what you have been raised in is a world where you have been told that you cannot follow your impulses, your instinct, your feelings. But let me go back to this imaginary world where you're raised and you're told to never use your legs. So because you use your arms all the time to move around, to push and to raise yourself to see in the distance, what happens is you start having very, very strong arms, very agile arms, because that's all you use, right? And so if you did that for 10 or 20 years, and suddenly I would say, well, actually, you know what? That makes no sense because you can push on your legs and walk with your legs and you'll go faster and you'll be able to run, and you can also see from a higher point, so you can see way, way, way further in a distance. You'd have to first calm down those arms before muscling your legs. Because what's happening is that your arms are so used to pulling and doing everything that they're very agile, and it's become second nature for you to move with your arms. And so even if I said, hey, you can move your legs, you might try and fall right away. But also if I said, go get that thing over there, your arms would automatically go because it's automated inside of you, inside of your body, inside of your nervous system. It's what you know. So it's a pattern. So it's comfortable. It's what you're familiar with. And those muscles, they're just used to going there. So in acting, when I say you need to first unwire your conditioning, it's because, yes, you have been raised in a world where though nature planted movement, feelings, breathing, and so many other things in your beautiful body and instrument, you were told not to feel. So you got out of your mother's womb, and most probably, and you're lucky if you didn't, most probably you were given a piece of rubber in your mouth so that you wouldn't cry. As if crying wasn't natural and necessary. And most probably, when you started getting angry and hitting the floor as a little baby, your caregivers must have said, no, don't get angry. That's wrong, and raise your voice. And so you got scared and you repressed it. And then when you got scared, your caregivers probably said, no, that's silly. Don't be scared. So you got to repress that too. So if you see what I'm starting to say is that conditioning means that you have been told to feel a certain way, to not feel another way. You've been told to basically match your experience to what other people want. At home, by suppressing and denying your feelings. At school, by suppressing and denying your desires to chat, to move, to connect. You've been told to sit down to be quiet, to eat at a certain time, to drink at a certain time, to pee at a certain time. So denying everything you wanted, to learn the things you were told to learn, even though you didn't want to. So all of that conditioning, all of that training from your parents and from your school teachers, literally, if there's plumbing inside of you, it kind of disconnected your tubes from within you and said, no, don't connect your tubes from what you want, your impulse, your feelings, your thoughts, your behavior. Connect it to what we want, to what we say is right, to what we say is good. So you've been trained to behave, think, feel, move a certain way for decades. So when you're starting to act, or even if you've been acting for a long time, well, that has trained you. So it's wired into your nervous system. It's like spiraled around every cell, every muscle, every bone. And so you don't have access to anything else. So if I would teach you how to act and tell you how to break down a scene, how to be free, etc., I would only try to put something on top of the fact that you're completely conditioned, repressed, denied inside. So the first thing we got to do to make sure that you have a fulfilling experience when you're acting, there's a trash truck coming, this is going to be a disaster, is to unwire, to undo, to unspiral that from your nervous system, to take that out. I'm going to move. To take that out of your nervous system, to undo that, to unlearn that, to untrain that from your instrument, so that we can get to the white page of who you are, so that we can get to the original version of you. Then in that original version of you, we can start to muscle up your capacity to be free and to be purposeful. We can start to muscle up what you want, what your instinct is going for, how your DNA is expressing itself in the most unique way compared to anyone else in the world. And so it's not only important, but crucial to unwire conditioning from your system, because if every single day in your life since you were born, you have been trained, asked, coerced, forced, and been conditioned to think a certain way, to learn certain things, to behave a certain way, to move your body or not move it a certain way, to feel a certain type of emotion and not the others. Well, basically, you're walking around with a mask. A strong, hardcore, built by decades mask all around your body. You're tied up in that conditioning. And so when you're going to an audition, or you're working on a project or on a movie or whatever you're working on, well, that's who's showing up. It's that tied up shield and mask of a person. The trash truck left, so I can leave and leave my child alone in here. So what I'm saying is, you do not have access to your true, authentic self. In other words, to the DNA that you were born to express, until we unwire all that training and all that teaching, all that education, all that conditioning from your body and instrument. So until I untrain the arms to get me everywhere, my legs can't start pushing. Does that make sense? It's like a muscle, your mask and conditioned self, that kind of shield of a person that you've become from the conditioning, it's not your fault, is all you have access to because you were forced into that straightening jacket since the first second you were into this world. So you don't have access to what nature built. You don't have access to your pure DNA anymore, because you've been repressed, shut down, denied, contracted. You're in a cage. of conditioning. You're in a mask. You're tied up. So many analogies are coming. So until we undo that and get the original self back, we can't start to muscle you back into your freedom and purpose. So first we got to undo. So I hope this makes sense. A lot of people are just wondering, because you're tied up and in the mask and all you see is acting school or acting workshops or teachers that tell you, oh, you need to learn how to act. And so you're thinking, why do I need to unwire? And the trash truck is back. I'm so sorry. So no acting school, I'm not an acting teacher, can give you freedom and your genius back and your purpose. No one can make you fully alive as an actor. And that's your job, is to show up fully alive as an actor. No one can give that to you. You can listen to me all day long. I can't give it to you. It's locked inside of you. It's locked into your body. And so the work of undoing, oh, I'm sorry. I'm gonna what a messy life. The work of undoing is to get under that conditioning, to melt that conditioning, to undo it progressively, which is why we take 33 days in the reset journey from resistance to freedom, in which we undo the conditioning, and parallel to that, we muscle your instinct back up. That's it. This is messy, but it's essential to unwire. If not, you can't be the full, authentic, radical, nature-built version of yourself. You can't be fully experiencing yourself, and therefore you can't fully express yourself. You're only going to be able to fully express yourself and defend characters once you're able to fully experience yourself. And you cannot experience yourself at all, I will argue, as long as you're conditioning, as long as you're conditioned. So you first need to undo that. If this makes sense, you can write free 100 in the comments. We'll be able to send you some free training links and interact with you if you have any specific questions, or if you want to start to do this work of unwiring yourself to rewire yourself back into your authentic, innate truth. Thank you.